Hello friends! Happy Mother's Day if you are here in Australia or New Zealand. Had the most amazing day with some family. Just got off the phone with my baby girl. Life is good. Life is good. Tonight is day 10 and we are going to be talking about rewriting the boring without booze story. And I know I thought this a lot. And it was the main reason why I never wanted to take a break from drinking or quit drinking. So yes, let's talk about probably one of the most stubborn beliefs that keep people stuck, and that life is going to be boring without alcohol. For many of us, we know that alcohol has been more than just a drink, my friends. It is the gateway to fun. It is what we do in social settings. It is a signal to relax. It's even sometimes permission to be ourselves. At this Mother's Day event today, there was a friend of mine. She hasn't drunk for, I don't know, maybe over a year or so. Anyway, she was in this great big, one of those big blow-up kind of costumes, dancing around, and she even said, she feels so good being able to just be her and have fun without the alcohol and jump around and of course not have the hangover that attaches to it. So she was having a fat old time this morning and just really happy with herself, and yeah, she'd given herself permission to just jump around and be an absolute fool in an outfit and have a ball of a time without the alcohol. So when we are thinking about giving up, one of the things that our nervous system does is it throws us an alert. What have you become boring? Oh my gosh, that one came up for me. The other one that came up for me was like, what will my husband think? What if you lose connection is another one. And what if you feel awkward and alone? And when you think about what we are motivated as human beings, what we are motivated to do, there is a hierarchy of needs called Maslow's, and it's a theory of motivation. There are 5 levels to it. I'm going to just share with you those levels so that you get an understanding of what we're actually motivated to do as human beings. The first one is, like, it sits on the bottom of a big triangle. The first one is the foundational, right? The psychological needs, our most basic needs for survival, including food, water, shelter, sleep. Then you get the next layer, which is the safety needs, and that is all about seeking security and safety from harm, including our emotional, physical states, job security, health. Then we have this middle piece, right? And this is the part where we talk about, where I think it's most closely linked to alcohol, is love and belonging. So again, I'm not an addiction specialist, okay? This is just speaking from my own experience. So if you do feel like the addiction is more, you do have a heavier relationship, like it feels really ingrained for you, maybe check out some addiction specialists. But from my perspective, my coaching perspective, with my coaching hat on, my trauma certification hat on, this is where for me it was closely linked, and that was the need for social connection, the need for love, the need for intimacy, sense of belonging, with my people, in relationships, with family, with friends. Oh my gosh, all the things, right? And they're so closely linked for me, because even at school I really struggled with different friend groups. I struggled with finding my people at school, and I've jumped around countries, and yeah, the love and belonging needs was a really strongly linked one when it came to quitting drinking or giving up alcohol, right? I just fully believed that people wouldn't like me, that I would be rejected, that I wouldn't be able to connect with people, and that I would be, think Lion King, you're going to be exiled to the dockland, you're going to get pushed out the back. And it's just not true. But our brain and our whole motivation as a human being is to love, is to want to be belonging, have this belonging. And yet we've got this brain, this human brain, which likes to tell us little pork pies, which are called beliefs, that we won't be liked and that would be rejected. So really fascinating is that when you think about our thoughts are just simply words that make sentences, and these sentences become beliefs. And there are things that we have believed since forever and a day, right? Since our people. Sorry, my husband's just got home. Guess what? We're So yeah, we've got these beliefs that have been with us. We've been conditioned to believe all around that, if we don't drink, that people won't love us. So that is just a random ass belief that somehow we created it. And it's simply because that we have a fear. As a human being, we have fears, and we fear that we can't live life without it. And interesting too is that these thoughts are totally optional. They're just so ingrained that we don't know that we have another way out of them. Thoughts are optional. So something tonight that I want to share with you is when I was doing some human design work, there was one of the foundational laws around being the hero of your story is there is a foundational law that says courage to overcome fear defines a hero. And being a hero of your own life doesn't mean that you're fearless, not at all. It actually means that you're willing to face the fear and walk forward anyway. It's the decision to move through discomfort, not because it's easy, because hell no, it's not easy. It's because on what's on the other side of that. It's the freedom is worth it. So tonight what I want to do is, I know that I've focused mostly on Pause, Feel, Connect, which is all around slowing ourselves down to reconnect, to notice what's going on in our bodies. Another really cool modality that I like to play with is journaling. And again, not a lot of people have actually know how to journal, or there's lots of questions around journaling. Journaling is just simply putting your thoughts onto paper. And you know what? I know as a kid, I wasn't very trusting with my words on paper. I had a mum who liked to snoop in my books and things. And so I really had to learn how to trust that it was okay to write my words. Now, I have all these journals everywhere, and my husband gets to see all my janky thoughts. Like, he gets to see every corner of my mind, all the shitty thoughts I have about myself, all the shitty thoughts I have about life, all the shitty thoughts about other people. I put them all onto paper because they are better on paper than they are swirling around my head, trying to make me believe that they actually roll, when most of the time they're not even true. So tonight I'm going to give you 3 things to journal on. And the first one is worst case scenario. When we have a fear, when we have a belief that is not necessarily true, but it feels like it's true, then sometimes we have to meet our fear head on. And when we go to the worst case scenario, the worst place that we could ever imagine, sometimes starting there is a really good thing, because when we put it out on paper, we can look at it and go, hang on a minute, like, that's actually not that bad. But our brain likes to tell us that this is going to be like death, like quitting drinking is going to be the worst thing in the world. But if you just take 5 or 10 minutes and write about it, here are 4 questions for you. First one is, what am I truly afraid of if I imagined life without alcohol? What comes up for you? So journal about that. Or you could just journal on one thing, right? If we try and overwhelm ourselves with writing like all the journals, all the journaling prompts, then we might not actually take action on anything. But see which one of these journaling prompts really sticks out for you, and maybe just journal on that. Number 2, what would this worst case scenario look like? I'll share with you what my worst case scenario was. Mine was that my husband wouldn't love me, right? Again, goes right back to my core belief and my core fear, everything from childhood. So I had this fear, which just wasn't true, that I would ruin my relationship if I quit drinking. Like, hello, brain. What are you even thinking? What are you even doing? What are you doing to me? But that was my biggest fear that I had to work through. I wonder what yours is. Number 3, what do I think would be horrible about failing? And human beings hate to fail, but there is such goodness on the other side of failing. Lessons learnt, right? Who we become when we fail, how quickly we can get back up. The resilience, we build this muscle of resilience. Failing, getting back up, going again, failing, getting back up, going again. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. That's how we are, what's the word I want to say, evolutionize ourselves. That's how we become this new version of ourselves. It's not by magically just putting on a new jacket or colouring our hair or whatever, but it's actually going to the places that we fear the most and trying it out and figuring out what we learn about ourselves. And then going again, right? And just noticing our fears, noticing our beliefs, noticing our thoughts. All of that stuff is awareness, and that is where the gold is through the awareness, because once we're aware, then we can make change. Right, number 4 is, what do I fear will happen to my relationships? There you go. Or identity. How do we think our identity is going to end up with a dent in it? Or what is the fear about joy? And if you use alcohol as fun, as your thing to do for fun, this could be where you look into, what are actually some other areas of joy that I have in my life? And I know I didn't have that many. So, it was a whole thing. I had to do a whole list of the things that brought me joy and the things that I was curious about, maybe the things that I wanted to do as a kid that I never did. I had to find a whole new list of joy sources. Don't hold back on any of that. Get it out. The fear loses power when it's written down and when it's witnessed with compassion. So again, we don't use this journaling, the slowing down, the connection. We don't use it to beat ourselves up. We have to have curiosity and compassion, and kindness for ourselves. We didn't know what we didn't know until we knew it. So try that. Practice number 2 is you could try a letter from your future self. So take a pause, take a breath, and journal on this. Imagine, and this, even if you're watching this and it's not about, you're not thinking about drinking, you could think about anything else. Your money situation, your relationship situation, your career, your business. Imagine it is 1 year from now and you have made the most courageous decision of your life, and you thought you thought it was impossible, right? But imagine that you've made that courageous choice. And imagine in a year's time, you've done that work, that inner work, you've done that healing. You have created a life where joy and peace don't depend on alcohol. Now, I invite you to write a letter to your current self. What does this version of you want you to know? What has she discovered about fun, about purpose, about connection? And what would she say about the fear that you are facing right now? Let her remind you of what you are doing is so brave, so courageous, so crazy. And it's going to be so cool. Overseas, right? So that's practice number 2. Practice number 3 is a little bit of self-inquiry. So again, self-inquiry, self-reflection. This is where we create more awareness. Is on a scale from 1 to 10, is how important is it for you to make this change in your life? Thanks, Millie. Millie? Dave's locked the door, he's in the shower and she's crying. She wants to get in. So how important is it for you to make this change in your life? And then ask yourself, why that number? So it was a 5. Why is it a 5? If it was an 8, why isn't it 8? If it's a 1, why is it a 1? And then I'm going to challenge you, which someone said this to me once. If you have rated your relationship an 8 out of 10 or your life an 8 out of 10, I want you to imagine. And when I asked Dave this question, he was like, how? I could not, just his brain just wouldn't get it right. If you have rated your life or your job or your money situation or your relationship, whatever it is, an 8 out of 10, I want you to think about, what if I challenged that and said to you, your life or your relationship, whatever it is actually only a 2 out of 10. What would you say? What would you think? What would come up for you? And if you looked at your relationship and said, oh yeah, okay, what if it was a 2 out of 10? What would I change? Who would I need to become to shift that needle to make change? What are the areas of your life where you could kind of use that scale and go, okay, yep, my money is an 8, but I'm going to challenge myself and just say it's a 2. What comes up? Where would I make that change? What would I do? Who would I be? What would I think about that? And then knowing that is, what would help you move it to that height, even one number, right? Rather than going from a 3 to a 10 or a 3 to an 8. What if I just moved it one more number across? What difference would that make in my life? Because there really is. You don't have to be at a 10 today. You don't even have to be at an 8. We just have to know that this is where we've rated our joy factor in our life, with or without alcohol, and then go, where could I lean into courage, into that fear that I know exists, but it's not always true. How could I lean into courage to really listen to what my body wants, what my heart wants, what my intuition is telling me? Like, super fascinating. So my friends, those 3 journaling prompts, try them on for size. And how I'm going to close up tonight is, what if? What if life wasn't boring, or isn't boring, without booze? What if it's just unfamiliar territory that we haven't charted yet? And what if you're not losing connection? You are learning to connect in a much deeper, much more grounded way for what you want in your life, for who you are. And what if in this moment, this very decision, this becomes your origin story? So this becomes your hero's journey, the one where you stop waiting for the perfect time and you step forward, leaning into courage. Because remember, it is not the absence of fear that makes someone powerful. It is the decision to move anyway. Because that's what makes you a hero. Look at all the movies, right? They're not king of the castle. They are the ones that are doing the hard work, taking the knocks, taking the falls, taking the risk, leaning into courage, leaning into curiosity. That is the hero of the story, the one that's doing all this like really awful, horrible stuff because they're shit scared, but they're going to do it anyway. And if you haven't read it already, and I don't know where my copy is, but really good book, is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Susan Jeffers, I think it is. Get yourself a copy of that, my friends, because not just about drinking, it's about other sources of life that we still have, like we haven't even touched yet. We just yearn for it so badly. But we've got this thing called alcohol, which is just kind of keeping us stuck in this routine. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that I felt like I was planning my whole life around alcohol. Like, oh yeah, we've got a birthday party on Friday. Oh, what are we going to drink? I better not. I'm going to have wine on a Friday night because then we've got a big night on Saturday night. So I'm going to drink rum and coke on a Saturday night. Oh, and then we've been invited to lunch on Saturday. Then I've got to maybe I'll have beer on Sunday. Oh my gosh, it was so exhausting. So making this decision actually took away so much decision fatigue. It wasn't funny. I had less decisions to make, right? So yes, my friends, feel the fear and do it anyway. If you have any questions, let me know if any of those journaling prompts, if you're going to use any of them, if you just use one thing, tell me what comes up for you. I would love to know what change you are ready to make, or maybe what change you are scared shitless to make, and reach out to me. All right, friends, I will see you again tomorrow night. Happy Mother's Day. Bye.